So hello and welcome to the first video of the course Insurance and Law, a course that is notoriously known for its hard exam and mental breakdowns. I want to start with a video that has nothing to do with the exercises specifically. I want to talk a little bit about why we are providing videos in this course, the motivations for doing so. Now, the thing is, normally with these math exercise sessions, uh, the instructor or the teacher arrives with a set of assumptions. So, which assumptions do instructors normally have? Well, as I have been an instructor for quite a long time and spoken with a lot of the others as well, normally what we normally assume is the students have read the lecture notes and know the definitions of the different mathematical entities that pop up in the exercises. And the second part is that most students know the basic calculation techniques, such as integration by substitution or the product rule when you do differentiation or partial integration, etc., etc. And a third assumption that most people have when we enter the end of the first year is that by now you should be rather well versed in proof techniques. And the reason why that is assumed is because most people who take this course have also taken the course Analysis 0, where you're trained in doing proofs, more or less. So these are the assumptions that most classroom teaching kind of is based on. So what is the reality on the other hand? And here's the main problem: is the reality is actually the opposite, especially for first years. And the reason for that is not because students are not intelligent per se. The reason for that is because with these math courses, we sort of enter a new realm during the first year, where we move from high school maths, which is very much based on the teacher telling you how to prove something or how to calculate something and you doing the same thing 20 times over again, and to a new way of thinking, which is based on very often the fact that you are presented with exercises and problems that are completely new each time you are presented with an exercise and a problem. And also, we enter a world with a vast number of definitions, and calculations can be quite complicated and messy as well. And apart from that, proof technique is something that should be practiced, and that is not something that you can master just over one course, which kind of means that, well, um, things are not as easy as often we teachers like to assume. So, why is it we're doing videos this time around? Well, one thing that is quite clear already is people learn at different paces. So, different pace, right? Personally, I spend a lot of time understanding stuff before I actually understand it. For me, my learning curve kind of goes like this. It's just like at 0 all the time until suddenly I just get it. And that time is normally around like 8 weeks into the course, right before the exam. Other people learn quicker. I'm not one of them. But because we kind of learn at different paces, and also different people tend to be good at concentrating at different times of day. One very nice thing about videos is that they're always available, and if there's something you don't understand, you can pause it, rewind, and try to listen to it again. That's something that's not possible when you are in a classroom together with 30 other people who are sitting there judging you. So that's one of the reasons we're offering videos this time around. And another reason is also because different people have different ways of understanding something. And that is something we try to accommodate in the classroom a lot, often by solving an exercise in a lot of different ways or trying to explain the intuition in different ways. The problem with this is just that it becomes quite involved sometimes because some people are more visual. Personally, I really like to do drawings of stuff, whereas other people might lean more on pure logic, and it's very much a matter of taste, which also means that for most students, when you sit inside a classroom and watch an instructor go through the exercise, sometimes you just don't get what the person is talking about, and at other times the pace is too slow. And what we try to do with these videos is to split up the different sections of how to solve an exercise. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's try to take a look. The way we structure these videos in this course is as follows. And I would also recommend that you take this as a kind of inspiration for how you can solve the exercises on your own. So the first thing we do when we have to solve an exercise is we read. We read the exercise text, the problem text that is posed. And when we do that, what we have to understand is, what is the person asking for? So what's the question? What's the question? And also, we have to look for the definitions of all the terms, all the mathematical entities that are contained in the problem text. And some people who have probably gone through the lecture notes and know them by heart, they might know all of the different terms and know what we mean, but often what we have to do when we read the exercise is kind of go back and look up all of these different words that are in the exercise text. And this takes a surprising amount of time. So for each exercise, one part is specifically dedicated to this task. Now the next step is understanding the intuition behind whatever result we're asked to show and trying to map a strategy for our proof. Now, why are these two things related? Well, actually, when you have finished the first step up here, you have already come a long way. Often just by reading the exercise and looking for all the definitions, we can actually finish the exercise. But if that is not enough, then it's a good idea to think a bit about, well, what's the intuition behind this? Probably we can make a drawing. Or how can I understand the result? How can I interpret it? How can I use it? And often that leads to inspiration strategy-wise. Which kind of proof technique can I use? Is there something that I have seen that looks similar, etc., etc.? And the thing that gets overlooked a lot when we give the answers to the exercises is that actually this part, number one, and this part, number two, is where you figure out how to solve a problem. And normally when we present the solutions, we don't actually tell people about these parts, we just go straight to the solution. And that is also why so many people have a hard time learning how to solve mathematical problems just by looking at solutions, because actually the real work goes on here in the beginning. So often a whole video will also be dedicated to this part. And then we go to step 3, which is the solution itself. So, solutions. Well, often these involve calculations. And some people like to go through the calculations slow, some people like to go through the calculations quicker. Personally, my personal opinion is that if I go through every single detailed step for you, then I'm doing you a disservice in the sense that your brain muscles kind of get lazy. So what we are doing in the videos is this. Some places, when we go through the solution, I'll say something like this. And now you can solve this part for yourself, or you can integrate this on your own, and so on and so on. So some calculations are left to you. Some calculations left for you. And then there will be some separate videos or PDFs or whatever that you can use to check your calculations on, but in the main solution video, those will actually be left out because there are some things that you can do on your own, like differentiating something by the product rule or using L'Hopital and so on and so on. And the last part, after we've solved the question, is often this. Well, let's try to interpret it. Let's try to sum it up. Let's try to think about what we've done. And, well, it's not that important for a lot of people, but for me, I think it's something that is very useful because by looking at how we have solved a problem, by thinking about the different strategies we've used, and by thinking about how we can use this result in some other way, then we can actually use the exercise in the future as well, and not just, solve it and forget it afterwards. So these are the 4 steps that most of the video solutions will go through, and often I will actually split these up into separate videos. So depending on your interests and what's most suitable for you, you will be able to choose which video or which parts of which videos you would like to watch. So there's no need for you to go through all of these, but each of them will probably be like 4 or 5 minutes long or 2 or 3 minutes long or something, and then you can just choose them each on your own. Okay, so that was that. I will also, in the next video, talk a little bit about learning strategy, and then after that, I will stop jabbering and I will actually show you guys the solutions for week 1. Cheers!